welcome to NFL football, the final game at Metropolitan Stadium. And for the two coaches today, they've got teams that aren't going anywhere because they are out of the playoff picture. And Jim, what is left for these teams today?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of pride left. One thing, the Chiefs, honestly, as we look at Bud Grant, their whole season has fallen apart this last month. They're being criticized for unimagination on offense. Their great running back, Joe Delaney, is home. On the other side of the field, hey, the Vikings are playing the last one at home. There's a lot of emotion. They do not want to lose 5 in a row.
And look at the greeting by the fans here in the frozen Northland. It is 21 degrees. It was 8 below zero yesterday, but it warmed up today, and the fans are making it even warmer. Game has been sold out for months and months and months. Everybody wanted to be here for the finale. 21 years of football history at Metropolitan Stadium. And the Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Twins, who met in Super Bowl IV in New Orleans, with Kansas City winning that one, have played infrequently since that time. Kansas City will be kicking off as Minnesota has won the toss. Nick Lowry will boot it away, and we'll get this ball game underway. And going back deep is Eddie Payton for the Minnesota Vikings. We have a few empty seats today as Lowry puts the ball in the air, and this game is underway. Eddie Payton from the 7. And Payton, a former Kansas City Chief, gets out to the 24-yard line where it becomes first down for the Vikings. The Vikings this afternoon will have Tommy Kramer operating at quarterback. Tony Galbraith getting a start today, the former New Orleans and Missouri star, along with Ted Brown. The wide receivers, well, what can we say about Rashad and White? And, of course, Joe Sincer's having his finest year as the tight end. He is the leading pass receiver. The offensive line, led by Riley Huff, Jim Langer, the veteran, getting a start today. Hamilton and Yeri. Yeri, of course, goes on and on and on in his 14th year of professional football. First and 10 on the Viking 24. Ted Brown, and Brown up the sideline, across the 40, is out of bounds on the 41-yard line. He is knocked out of bounds by Eric Harris, a gain of 17 yards by Ted Brown, who came into the game with 1,047 yards rushing. Now the defensive alignment, the front three, the great Art Still as the right end. Ken Kramer will alternate as the nose tackle along with Don Parrish. And the linebacking core. Gary Spaney having his greatest year, and it seems like we say that about him every year. The Vikings have 2 tight ends in, Sincer 81, Bob Brewer 82. Again, Ted Brown of the running play, carrying the ball for 3 to the 44-yard line. The defensive backs for Kansas City, Gary Green, Harris, Barbaro, of course, will be in the Pro Bowl. He's almost a perennial Pro Bowler. And Lloyd Burris has had a good year for Kansas City. It'll be second down 7. Kansas City has put in 5 defensive backs now. Terry LeCount, you see, number 80, has come in as a wide receiver for Minnesota. Joe Sincer, the tight end, he'll set right. LeCount comes to the right side, flank wide. Almost picked off by Eric Harris.
He had clear sailing if he had that one. I'll tell you, I'm not surprised at all the way Minnesota has opened the game. The Broncos opened the game with Kansas City the same way. They're going to air it out. Tommy Kramer, you know, he's led the league the entire year in the amount of passes thrown each game. Watch it here. Underthrown, could have been a disaster early in the game.
The intended receiver, Sammy White, who has caught passes for 974 yards today. In fact, the Vikings have 3 men who can conceivably go over the 1,000-yard mark. Leo Lewis is now in as a wide receiver. That's White in motion. Kramer to the near side, and is it picked off, or is the ball trapped? It was trapped.
Tony Viteri calls it no interception.
Gary Green had his hands on the ball, and what do you think of that one, Jim?
I don't know. That's close. I'd like to see that one again. I'm sure we'll get to see it again. Tommy's underthrowing it a touch, as we can see, but watch the play by Gary Green. I guess Tony Viteri, the official, sees that a little better than we do. We'll see it again. We'll see that the ball's underthrown. He's been having problems as of late. You really can't tell.
So they failed to pick up the first down. It is 4th down and 7. J.T. Smith is back deep as Greg Coleman is ready to kick it away for the Minnesota Vikings. He's averaging almost 42 yards a kick this year.
And they were having problems before the game, Merle. The field is just about frozen. There's a short punt.
And Coleman slipped and went down. I thought he slipped and went down. I see a flag back there. So we could have a roughing the kicker penalty. But watch Greg Coleman. I don't know how much contact he got, but I'll tell you, he really carried it out very well.
Well, I can tell you that punters are taught to act a great deal, but still the rule is don't touch him. We're taking a look right here. He's stepping over to try to punt it out left. He's acting. Great job of acting, Greg Coleman.
A 37-yard punt, but the Vikings are going to get something more important than that. They're going to get a first down.
Yes. And the field's frozen. It's in pretty good condition considering the weather. Both kickers and punters were having problems.
Running into the kicker. Defense. First down.
Close call, official. Very close call. We'll see it again. We'll let the fans judge for themselves. He's going to try to punt it down the left side of the field. Great acting job.
From the 49, first down, Minnesota Vikings. Sensor 81, Bauer 82, Brewer rather are the tight ends. Ted Brown wide at the sideline, rolled out of bounds just shy of the 40 by Eric Harris, number 44, who's had a great year for the Kansas City Chiefs, the right cornerback. A gain of 8 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 2 at the 41-yard line of Kansas City. Kansas City has won 8 and lost 7 this year. Minnesota is 7 and 8. The Vikings have lost 6 of the last 8 ball games and 4 straight, as you mentioned, Jim. Kansas City has lost the last 3.
Well, what's Kansas City is really fretting about right now and disturbed is that they lost to Chicago, and that just put them right out of the playoffs along with their New England loss.
I believe I marked the ball at the 41. It should be the 43, where it is 2nd down and 2. And the Vikings get that and some more. Tony Galbraith, the big fullback, the 6-year veteran from Missouri, brought down by Charles Jackson, number 51, the right outside linebacker. Galbraith picks up 5 yards in the play and a first down. They're trimming him down pretty good, Jim.
Well, they're trimming him down. I'll tell you, if you're going to attack a 34 defense with the nose guard, I'll tell you, the only way to really do it is go right at him, then let the running back use his ability and take off from there, but attack it. Try not to run around it all the time.
Jim Langer is up over the ball in his 13th season, an all-pro bowler with the Miami Dolphins in past years. That's Brown at the 32. Ted Brown from North Carolina State in his 3rd year has had a great year. He leads the Vikings in rushing and receiving. Ken Kramer and Cal Peterson stop him after a 4-yard pickup.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Kramer go for 6 right here. Get on the board quickly, put the pressure on the Chiefs. They're beat up. We don't even know what we're going to see out of the Chiefs offensively with Delaney out today.
Bud Grant, who shows little emotion on the sideline, is, contrary to what you see in the picture, is a very personable man. 2nd down and 6 on the 31. Sensor in motion. Let's see if Jim Turner's right. Kramer over the middle, underthrowing to Terry LeCount.
I think the ball was tipped.
Yeah, but Jim, in past, Kramer has not been throwing well in the last 2 or 3 games.
You're absolutely right. The last 3 games or 4 games, he's had 15 interceptions. This is the last 4 games. There it is, 13 interceptions. He is not throwing well. As we talked to their public relations man yesterday, he said that Kramer, as most quarterbacks are this time of year, they're banged up. Bad legs, sore arms. Those defensive ends get paid to bang a quarterback. This is the time of year he feels it.
No score, first quarter, 12 minutes, 10 seconds to go. Minnesota taking the opening kickoff, driving down to the Kansas City 31-yard line. Terry LeCount splits wide to the left side. And to the right side is Leo Lewis. Sammy White in motion.
Good time to throw to Sensor right now.
There's Sensor over the middle, double covered. The ball is knocked away by Herb Christopher, number 41, the strong safety, and Whitney Paul, 53, the left outside linebacker. And we've got a Kansas City Chief injured.
I'll tell you, and Sensor's starting in the Pro Bowl for the Vikings this year. It's a tremendous pass pattern, but look at the coverage he draws. You don't think that they've scouted him all week long. Watch this again. It's a good call. It's a simple circle route over the middle, just enough for the first down. Had he caught it, it would have been close. But he's drawing a crowd.
And we've got a timeout as Christopher is being attended to. He is the injured man on the field. There's no score from Bloomington, Minnesota. Herb Christopher, number 41, who helped break up the last play, apparently is okay. He's on the sideline, has been replaced by Deron Cherry, number 20. And it is 4th down and 6 coming up. And the Minnesota Vikings are going to go for it. Jim, how about that?
I think it's a great call. I'm not surprised at all. Tommy Kramer is a great innovator on this situation right here.
4th down, 6. Let's see if he can get it. He's got it and more. Tony Galbraith coming out of the backfield, gets the ball to the 21-yard line, and Charles Jackson, number 51, stops him there at his 1st down, Minnesota. A gain of 10.
The Vikings just flooded the entire defensive backfield. Everybody's out. Sensor, you can see Sensor is the short man. Perfect pass pattern, enough for the 1st down. One-on-one with linebackers. I'll tell you, it's tough to cover a back one-on-one like that.
So the Vikings have the ball at the 20 of Kansas City. Look out to the left side, Sammy White to the right side. And the handoff goes to Galbraith. He's into the middle, down to the 15-yard line, a gain of 5. Mike Bell, number 99, a second-year man from Colorado State, makes the stop. He got almost 6 yards. Let's call it 2nd down and 4, and Jim Turner knows all about Mike Bell.
Mike Bell's great, All-American out of Colorado State at Fort Collins, where the Broncos have their training camp. Told me before the game that they're hurting a little bit. They're going to have to bring in an extra back in there, the nickel defense. He's a fine young defensive end.
2nd down, Vikings. Galbraith, 1st down to the 4, 1st and goal to go. And we have a flag drop to the backfield. Charles Jackson tripped him up. A gain of 12 yards by Galbraith, but let's see what the flag means. It means the Vikings are going to have to take a little walk the other way. Holding. Holding against the Vikings. So Minnesota, instead of having a 1st and goal, has got to go back and have a long 1st and goal. Denver ahead of Chicago 3-0. Big game for the Broncos. Broncos trying to lock up the Western Division. Tampa Bay over Detroit by 3, and that's the battle for the championship of the Central Division.
51 offense, 2nd down.
And the New York Jets on a Kevin Long touchdown run of a yard lead Green Bay in the 1st quarter.
Let's go Jets.
Oh, Jim Turner, the ex-Jet kicking star and the ex-Bronco kicking star. It is 2nd down, 15. The ball back at the 25-yard line. 2nd down and 25. 2nd down, 15. Let's make it. And Bell putting pressure on Kramer that time. Pass incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 15.
Bell got in just too fast for Kramer to let that play develop. I tell you, Bell and Still are 2 of the best young ones, like Klecko and Gastineau in New York. They're tremendous. Potential unlimited.
Ted Brown has come out. Leo Lewis has come in for Minnesota. We have no score, about 10.5 minutes to go in the 1st period.
Been a long drive, hasn't it?
They've really used up some time.
Sure have.
Lewis split to the right. White comes in motion. Kramer in the pocket throwing. He had Sammy White, and he almost had the ball. Got away from him. The coverage by number 24, Gary Green. And Kramer took a pretty good jolt.
He's taken some shots the last month, that's for sure. We'll see him drop back. He's getting pressure. It was a perfect pass after he flushed up right here. Moves out of the way. Perfect pass to Sammy White. It'll go down in the books as a drop ball by Sammy White. They're setting up for a field goal right now, Merle. I tell you, before the game, both the kickers and the punters were very tentative. That field is frozen. Dan Meyer is not a long ball kicker, but he is home.
This will be a 43-yard effort, and in this range, he's 3 out of 5 this year. Dan Meyer, straight ahead kicker, not soccer style, boots it home. A 43-yard field goal to the Vikings lead by a score of 3-0 as they draw first blood here on this 21-degree day with a wind chill of 4 below zero in the frozen northland of Bloomington, Minnesota. Jim is one of the all-time great kickers in NFL history. You should be able to evaluate Mr. Danmeyer style.
Well, I tell you, watch his reaction after he makes it. What a year he's having. The area, he knows it's through. Look at that. Yeah, I did it.
Now, you didn't do anything like that.
Oh, you bet I did. He's 20 of 24 this year. His style, he's not a finesse kicker. He's a hard ball, power ball kicker. Watch him kick the ball. Not a long ball kicker, though, Merle.
From the 13, the return by James Murphy. Murphy breaking a tackle or so, getting out to the 34-yard line, where Tom Hannon makes the tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, and the Kansas City offensive unit is on the field for the first time this afternoon. And Steve Fuller will be at quarterback. Billy Jackson starting in place of the injured Joe Delaney, who's at home in Kansas City watching today. Curtis Bledsoe will get the start in place of James Hadnot as the fullback. And the wide receivers and tight end, Carlos Carlson and Stan Rome. Of course, Henry Marshall out for the year. Some time ago, the offensive line headed by Jack Rudnay, who anchors the line at center. Here we go. Billy Jackson bangs to the 41-yard line, getting big yardage, about 8. Fred McNeil, 54, makes the tackle with help from James White after a gain of 8. The defensive line, James Duck White handles the nose guard spot. Boy, that's a tough job. And the linebackers and the Vikings have always had good ones. McNeil and Blair, two of the finest, playing the outside. Second down, 2. That's Billy Jackson again. Bear Bryant calls him one of the finest athletes that he's ever had at Alabama. Fred McNeil stops him, and he might be just shy of a first down.
And Merle, it's going to be interesting. We were talking with the Chiefs prior to the game and last night, and they really wouldn't let it out of the bag what type of offense they were going to use. We see that they've got one back in for this whole game without Joe Delaney. Henry Marshall, as you've said, has been out all year. I'll tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised to see halfback passes, reverse, single wing, anything out of Marv Levy and the Chiefs today.
Dixon and Scott are in as tight ends. Third down inches. Billy Jackson, one of the fine short yardage runners who has scored 10 touchdowns for Kansas City this year, has the first down and more at the 47-yard line. Dennis Johnson now in at linebacker, place of Jeff Seaman, number 52. Seaman normally the starter, and Dennis Johnson, the second-year man from USC, getting to play today. And you can see that snow that they're going to be leaving behind after today, playing indoors next year in downtown Minneapolis.
And you know, the fans they just won't know how to react. Are they going to wear Bermudas indoors? They won't know.
Well, it'll be different. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, it will.
First down, Kansas City. The Chiefs trail by 3 in the first quarter. McNeil with his second interception of the year. And McNeil, the linebacker, down to the 39-yard line of Kansas City. He took it away from Al Dixon, the tight end.
Perfect reaction by McNeil, but we've seen several drop balls going through the hands. Watch it. Should have been a caught, goes right through his hand. It's cold down there, but look at the reaction of McNeil. And watch him pull 6 or 7 yards here on his own athletic ability. Watch this.
So Fred McNeil.
And this is what we see from ground level. Watch the ball tip out of the hands. McNeil grabs it. Terrific reaction on his part.
Those linebackers love to carry the ball, don't they?
Oh, yeah, I tell you. Linebackers are a breed in their own.
Joe Sensor and Bob Brewer in as a double tight end offense now for Minnesota. Vikings lead 3-0. And Ted Brown rams into the middle for a yard or so. It'll be second down and 8.
Tommy Kramer is just going to air it out, and as we've said before, when you go against the 34th defense, don't try to run around in. There's no sense to it. Attack the nose guard. You've got a center and 2 guards on him. Just go straight ahead.
Marv Levy making many changes. Cal Peterson, the linebacker, has gone to the sideline. Always got to be ready for Tommy Kramer. You really don't know what a passing down is for him. Second down. Kramer to Sensor over the middle, and he can't hang on. Sensor had caught passes for 972 yards going into the game today. Just 28 away from the 1,000 mark. Last year he was just under 500, so he's had a super year.
He's had a great year. You could tell right there on it, the man is not healthy. He's got a sore leg coming into there. He is selected to be a starter in a Pro Bowl. He deserves it. I'm not too sure that he's totally healthy.
3rd down 8.
We may not see him later on if they put this game away early, which I don't think they will.
Leo Lewis has replaced Ted Brown. So it's Lewis, White, LeCount, Sensor. Boy, they've got a lot of receivers in there now. Kramer in trouble, and he fumbles a football, and the Chiefs go after it. Mike Bell wrapped him up, and Kansas City has recovered at the 48-yard line of the Chiefs. And Parrish, the nose tackle, comes out with the ball.
And what happened was they had everybody out in the pattern, and once he was flushed, he was by himself. They hit him, and down goes the ball. I'll tell you, if we get to see it again here, Kramer has everybody out in this as an offensive receiver. He's by himself now. Good pressure by Bell, and still he's flushed. They hit him in the arm, and down it goes.
So a 43-yard field goal by Rick Danmeyer, the only score, but Kansas City takes the ball now. A sellout crowd for the final game at the Met, and you know what, Jim? Next year they're going to have been 250,000 people who are here in person for this game today for the finale.
I tell you, that's quite a record.
All right, Steve Fuller in the Kansas City offense from the 48. Billy Jackson on the sweep. Jackson flags go down as Jackson is finally taken down on the Minnesota 36-yard line. Billy Jackson, the rookie from Alabama. Matt Blair, the linebacker, with help from Kurt Knopf, the strong safety, on the stop.
What an effort by Billy Jackson. He breaks 3 tackles. Watch Blair come across. He's Mr. Everything in Minnesota. Watch him come across. He knows his pursuit angle. He's got him, and down he goes. You know what's interesting about the game right now, Merle? I think the Chiefs have to forget Joe Delaney is not here. Come, throw the ball, get it upfield, and win this ball game.
All right, the penalty takes the ball back to the Kansas City 38-yard line. We'll hear the call.
Illegal use of hands, 84 offense, first down.
Tom Dooley says, hang down your head, Al Dixon. Marv Levy, you know, a guy who's a perfectionist like Levy and/or Grant.
Absolutely.
Boy, those mistakes just kill those coaches.
It drives them crazy. Both coaches, interestingly enough, champions out of the Canadian League.
2nd down, 20. Kansas City 38. Minnesota 3-0. Screen to Jackson. Jackson to the 41. He got about 4. Randy Holloway, 75, the defensive right end.
That type of play isn't going to work against the Vikings, not with the activity of their backers. That short little pass, they've got to throw it upfield.
Kansas City has been pretty much of a balanced offense as far as passing and running plays are concerned this year, but you look at the quarterbacks. Bill Kenny has 9 touchdown passes. Steve Fuller has 2. And you look at some of the other quarterbacks, and they're into the 20s.
Oh, absolutely. They just too one-dimensional early in the year with Joe Delaney's success.
2nd down, 17. Fuller, and he has got Carlos Carson down on the 42-yard line. He'll be close to a first down. Kurt Knopf made the hit, and it was a hit, but Carson, the second-year man from LSU with tremendous speed, hung onto the football. Gain of 17.
And that's what we were talking about. Throw the ball downfield, get the ball away from the Viking linebackers, and watch it. You see him. He's got his eye on him all the way. Carson takes a shot here after he catches the ball. My old teammate, Kurt Knopf, when he was with the #2 draft choice with the Broncos, he's quite a hitter.
They got the first down by inches. Jackson squirming to the 38. Number 65, Tom Condon. Jack Rudney, 58. trying to open that hole, but Matt Blair, 59, Dennis Johnson, 52, closed it down. I saw you talking to your old pal, Jack Rudney.
I'll tell you, he's such an old pro. He asked me a little while ago, he says, Jim, how do you feel being out of the game? How do you feel about the young guys today? It's tough to communicate with him. Jack Rudney is Mr. Football in Kansas City.
2nd and 7, 3-0, Minnesota, 4:45 to go in the first quarter. Billy Jackson on the sweep. And flag goes down as he is near the 32-yard line. Dennis Johnson, 52, made the hit. Tom Condon, 65, the right guard, was pulling to lead the blocking.
Boy, you got to be impressed with Jackson's desire in running today.
Tom Dooley checks it out.
Look at him trying to talk the officials into it.
Last game of the season, they're still at it.
Sure.
I know that when you were playing and you were on the sideline, you didn't try to help those officials either.
You better believe I did. They called a few of my kicks out, and I tried to talk them into making them being in, too.
Speaking of some being out, how about that Giant game yesterday?
Oh, hey, listen, I'll tell you, that's why you don't get down on a kicker. He's going to miss one, like Danilo did. They got him in overtime. He missed one that could have won it, but then he's going to come right back. That's the hazard and the opportunities that you're given as a field goal kicker.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 65 on the offense. It's 2nd down.
Tom Condon, who was the lead blocker, is the guilty party.
It'll come up on the left side of our screen. We watch Jackson run the ball. You can barely see it with his hands out pushing that, but look at the pursuit of the Vikings. Yeah, you can't have those hands out running in front of you all the time.
2nd down, about 15. A draw to Jackson. The handoff really wasn't that clean, or Jackson did not get up the blocks in a hurry, and Scott Studwell, number 55, the veteran linebacker from Illinois, put the pop on him.
And the field's frozen, so the footing's pretty tough. Let's take a look at one of the greatest football players they've got in the league today. Number 54, Fred McNeil. Watch him. He flushes out there.
That was Brad Buddy, number 66, the second-year man from USC.
Brad tried to put an elbow in his ear hole and tell him, hey, I'm here.
3rd down, 15. Steve Fuller, incomplete. J.T. Smith, number 86. The wideout was the target, and Matt Blair, number 59, the linebacker, and Tom Hannon, the free safety, number 45, had the coverage, and that'll bring on the punting unit for Kansas City.
Excellent defense. With Jeff Gossett punting now, he's replaced the former All-Pro Bob Grupp, who's injured with a separated shoulder. I watched Gossett before the game. He had a terrific amount of trouble punting the ball today on the field.
Eddie Payton is the deep back. Gossett, who was working in a store in Dallas, Texas, when he got the call a few weeks ago from the Chiefs, said, I'm ready. He's going for the sideline, but Payton will take it to the 15. Eddie has rolled down at about the 21. Kick of 32 yards by Gossett. We have 3 minutes and 42 seconds to go in the first quarter in Minnesota, and we've got a timeout called, and the Minnesota Vikings lead it 3-0. Well, Jim and I were ready for the Northland today, huh?
Absolutely. You know, Merle, both teams are playing a little tight when they shouldn't be. Last game of the season, they're both out of it. Let's have some fun, and they're just a little tight.
You think Kramer's going to throw on 1st down here?
Oh, I think so. There's no telling. There's no statistics on that guy.
All right, let's see what he does.
Well, we were wrong.
And the Chiefs defense reacts as Whitney Paul comes in to nail Teddy Brown, and Art Still in there to help him out. No, I say that, Jim, because let's get into the subject of some of the changes in the philosophy by coaches, that the 1st down is the big yardage down now, not the one that you feel the guy out with.
Well, if you run and don't make but 2, you're 2nd and 8. If you throw and make 4 or 5, you're 2nd and 3, and everything looks better. Then you can open it up. The new rules are helping the quarterbacks today.
The count in motion. Galbraith has one blocker out there, but that's not enough. They try to strip that ball. And who's got it? Kansas City.
Yes, sir. More and more this year, Merle, we're seeing linebackers, instead of going for the really tough tackle, slapping up the arm, creating fumbles.
And Art Still, 67, had a part of that play.
Sure. Watch this. Good play calling by the Vikings. They're keeping him off guard, but watch the pursuit. Looks like he's having a little trouble with the ball. He's got it on the wrong side right away. But look at that. The arm comes in. He had the ball on the wrong side when the pursuit's coming from that angle. Kansas City's got a big break now.
Gary Spaney had the hit. The linebacker is having an outstanding year. Veteran from Kansas State. Kansas City first and 10 of the Viking 22. Billy Jackson. Look at that Viking defense.
Randy Holloway put a hit on him. We heard it all the way up here. Watch this. Watch when number 75 puts his helmet on him. We heard it all the way up. Look at that. Woohoo. Welcome to the NFL.
Now Curtis Bledsoe has come into the Kansas City backfield. The Eagles lead St. Louis by 7 on a Ron Jaworski to Charlie Smith. Touchdown pass that covered 4 yards. Still looking. Throws it up there for grabs, and it's just off the fingertips of Al Dixon, the tight end. The big 6'5" former Iowa State star who has caught 2 touchdown passes this year, covered by Tom Hannon in the end zone.
What an effort by Fuller. My goodness. He may have been able to run that ball down to the 10. We'll watch him. He sees everybody's covered. The coverage is excellent by the Vikings right now. They're covered. Watch, he'll flush out. And I tell you what, McNeil really had him covered, but what he lays it up as the pressure's coming on him, very close to an interference. Look at this. I'm not too sure the official didn't miss that one, Merle.
J.T. Smith has come in for Al Dixon. We've had a couple of close plays now today.
Oh, yeah, all year long.
A couple of close calls.
Sure.
3rd down. J.T. Smith for the first down and more. He's down to the 12. Kurt Knopf, the strong safety from the University of Kansas, making the stop.
With Henry Marshall out, JT's had to play an awful lot of football because he's the premier punt and kick returner in football today. Fuller just drops back a perfect pass. Well called play. We're going to watch, in my opinion right now, obviously the best kicker in the AFC, maybe the best in the NFL, Nick Lowry. In the last 2 seasons, he's made 75% of his field goal attempts. But as a soccer kicker, I like his approach to the ball, Merle.
I'm going to have to do some backtracking. I thought he had the first down. He does not. Well, maybe.
Well, they're going to measure it.
They're going to measure it now.
Well, Fuller's exercising his right to call for a measurement.
Wouldn't this be something with a kicking unit on and they
I've
for the
seen,
first down?
Sure. And the kicker's probably hoping, hey, let's make the first down. My foot's cold.
Any part of the ball will do it, but as you can see, they're short by almost a yard. Looked like he had it. So now Kansas City, with a field goal unit on, will have a chance to tie the score. And look at this one, those Denver Broncos down to Chicago 7-3 as Vince Evans threw to Walter Payton for 19 yards and a touchdown. That game is in the 2nd quarter.
Well, as you know, I live in Denver, and those Broncos were worried to death about going into Chicago to play this final game today.
Weather is not exactly
no.
Tropical in Chicago today. Nick Lowry going from the 20, making it 30, and in that range, he's 12 for 13.
And he's kicking against one of the premier kick block teams there is in football, the Vikings. You know they're going to go after this ball.
Lowry puts it up there, and we've got a tie game on a 30-yard field goal by Nick Lowry. It is locked up at 3 with 1:12 to go in the 1st quarter. Let's go to New York for an update on what's happening in the NFL today.
All right, Merle, you noted the Bears are out in front of the Broncos in Chicago. Here's how it happened. Denver on the board on a Steinford field goal. Vince Evans goes 19 yards to Walter Payton. Point after is good, and it's 7-3 in the 2nd. Merle?
Thank you, Bryant. Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you. And Bryant's sitting back there in the studio where it's nice and warm in New York, Jim. And, of course, we're out here where the action is. That's what's important.
But what a job he does every Sunday. He's magnificent.
Don't tell him that. So we've got a tie game at 3. And checking the clock, we've got 1:12 seconds to go in the first period. Exchange of field goals, 43 yards by Dan Meyer, 30 yards by Nick Lowry.
Merle, while we're watching Nick Lowry set the ball up on the tee, that's the Jan Spinnerud tee, developed by Jan, being sold around the country to high schools, colleges, pro teams. It's pretty interesting, especially designed for the angle that soccer kickers need on the ball when they kick it off.
Now, does it really make that much difference?
Absolutely, yes.
Does it really?
Yes, they need a little angle there so they can hook into the ball.
Lowry taking it away to Payton. Nope. We're going to get the second man, Keith Nord, on the return. And Nord is out across the 30 to the 32, and the Vikings will take over there. The best College Bowl lineup ever on NBC Sports this year, beginning at 1:30 Eastern Time. Penn State meets USC in the Fiesta Bowl. Then Washington takes on Iowa in the Rose Bowl. And finally, the national championship game. #1 Clemson battles Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. That's all New Year's Day on NBC Sports. Well, it's going to be a day where we got to get lots of television sets to follow all the action.
It's an exciting day.
Kramer, 2 out of 8, 27 yards. Going to Galbraith. Galbraith on the sweep, and the Chiefs stop him at about the 37-yard line. Gain of 5. Ron Yerry, number 73, out there to lead in the blocking. You saw Peterson, 50, the linebacker. Perry, 61, the nose tackle.
How about Ron Yerry in his 14th year? Bud Grant was saying recently he possibly could play into his 40s. He's that good. He's having that good of a year this year. They're really proud of him.
You know, he's not really 6'6" and 255, but
there's a certain amount of leverage and knowledge involved in those tackles.
Finesse?
Holding? Who knows?
Sammy White, and he wrestles for a first down. Whitney Paul and Cal Peterson. The linebackers on the left side pull him down, but Sammy White, who came into the game with 974 yards on 63 receptions, I believe has the first down. And we've come to the end of the first quarter in Minnesota. Field goal by Dan Meyer, field goal by Lowry, score tied at 3.
Kramer's only 3 for 9 right now, but at least 3 of them are drop balls. And watch Sammy, he almost drops this one again. Merle, I think the conditions are worse than we've been told.
Well, one of the things we're talking to Bill Brown about, we see the flag blowing in from the south, the open end of Metropolitan Stadium.
And he said it's a different wind today, and it's going to bother the players.
Bill Brown, the former Viking All-Pro, here today.
A lot of the old Vikings are here today.
Kramer going for Galbraith. Did he throw that one in the crowd? 4 white shirts were back there, and Kramer hits the frozen turf. Don Parrish put a good rush on Kramer. For the first quarter, statistics aren't that impressive at this point. Time of possession about even.
About even. You know, that last play, Kramer had a lot of pressure. All 3 defensive linemen of the Chiefs were in there. That is a fine young defensive line.
Talking about impressive, how about Philadelphia's 14-0 lead? Wilbert Montgomery just scored from 9. 14-0 Philadelphia over St. Louis. Kramer, ball tipped up in the air, trying to throw it back over the middle.
Tipped up by an old teammate of mine, Charles Jackson. What a super guy he is.
Boy, Charles Jackson has played out more options.
Yes, he has. He's an interest. He's like an itinerant field goal kicker. He'll play for this team one year. But he's a fine football player. The Broncos should never have released him.
Tommy Kramer has broken all kinds of records previously held by Fran Tarkenton, who's also here today, by the way.
Yes. Well, this is a big day, Merle. They're all here. They're going to have a party after the game.
Leo Lewis is now in as a wideout for Minnesota. Kramer way overthrowing and intercepted, picked off by Gary Green. Green brings it back across the 40 to the 43. His 5th interception of the year, and a great, I think, one-handed catch by Green.
It's just a bad throw by Kramer. He wasn't even flush. He's not been throwing well. But I'll tell you, watch the athletic ability of Gary Green. Going to be in the Pro Bowl this year. Gives many teams the fits. Watch this one-handed interception right there. Look at that. Outstanding. That's why he's in the Pro Bowl this year.
And our score is tied at 3.
Obviously, it was a bad pass by Kramer, but look at number 61, all 264 pounds of him, Don Parrish, right in his face, and then the great interception by Gary Green. I'll tell you, the young Chiefs are going to be around for a long while.
1st and 10 for Steve Fuller and company. Fuller on a screen to Smith. Smith across midfield, and he has almost 10 yards, and he might have exactly 10. James Duck White, 72, the nose tackle. Out of Oklahoma State, a first-round draft choice in 1976, making the hit on Smith. Smith's got some very tender ribs. Doesn't seem to be bothering him today, though.
It's too cold. He probably can't feel himself. That pass is such a remembrance of the old days, even in the Super Bowl in the matchup against these two teams. Just the quick short pass to Otis Taylor, and what could he do with the ball after a 1-yard pass? He might take it 67.
Exactly 10 yards on the pickup and a first down. We've got an injured Viking. That's Scott Studwell, the linebacker. And Studwell is going to be replaced. Doug Martin, number 79, comes on the field for Minnesota.
Looks like they'll go into their 4-man front now.
He's the right tackle in the 4-man front. Martin is. So it'd be Mullaney, Martin, then White and Holloway, right to left.
I talked to Mullaney this morning. He lives just a few miles from me out in Colorado. Quite an athlete. For his size, he is extremely fast.
Merle Harmon and Jim Turner with you from Bloomington, Minnesota. Carlos Carson splits wide to the left side. Al Dixon on the wing right. He's the tight end. Stan Roman split wide right. The running back, Billy Jackson, takes it right through the middle inside the 45 of the 44. And Doug Martin, number 79, the #1 draft choice in 1980 on the tackle. Here's the Western Division with Denver. And, well, San Diego plays Monday night, so we're really not going to know exactly where the West stands until after tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, it'll go right down to it. Never seen anything like this in the National Football League.
Right now, Chicago leading Denver by a score of 7-3. Vince Evans throwing a touchdown pass to Walter Payton. Second down. Fuller chases on. Fuller going down. Randy Holloway, 75, and Dennis Johnson, 52. Wrap him up for a long loss, and let's go to New York for an update.
Okay, Merle, big day for the Baylor Bear alumni. You just had Gary Green intercepting your ball game. Here's another ex-Baylor Bear. Mike Singletary coming up with an interception after it bounces off Riley Odom's. Bears have the ball and own a 7-3 lead in the second. Merle?
Thank you, Bryant. And indeed, the Baylor Bears are in the spotlight today. 13 minutes and 2 seconds left to play in the first half. Our game in Minnesota locked up at 3. It is 3rd down and 22 for Kansas City after the long loss. John Swain, Keith Nord helped to put in the nickel defense now against Fuller. And Fuller hits J.T. Smith. He's going to be way short of a first down. It'll be 4th down and 9 coming up as Matt Blair and Keith Nord make the tackle, and the Jets lead Green Bay after Green Bay's Jan Stenerud has just kicked a 31-yard field goal with 11:50 to go in the first half.
And Merle, you might not know it, but Jan Stenerud just tied my career high field goals of 304 for his career with that field goal.
And you knew
I knew he was going to do it.
Today might be the day.
That's right, and congratulations to Jan Stenerud.
4th down, 9. Eddie Payton is back for the punt by Jeff Gossett. Gossett's second punt of the day, driving it into the wind, downfield to Payton, who will take it on the 11. And the Kansas City special teams unit stops him at the 15.
And that's a good punt because it's a designed play. He's kicking and he's allowing only one return right to the sidelines.
We'll be back in just a moment. Jim, we have a lot of teams that are playoff bound that are just about 500 ball clubs this year, which brings up the point of parity.
I don't believe parity is anywhere near being an achievement in the NFL. I do not.
All right, let's explore that a little more as Minnesota takes over at its own 15 after a 35-yard punt by Gossett. And Galbraith gets nowhere. He stopped right at the line of scrimmage. You saw 51, Charles Jackson, 59, Gary Spaney, who play side by side as the right side linebackers in that 3-4 defense for Kansas City. It is second down, 10. Okay,
It's
Jim
an
Turner.
interesting call there, Merle, and going around the end on a 3-4 defense. We've said before the best way to attack him is to go right at the nose tackle.
Well, they actually lost a little bit of ground on that one. Second down, 11. Now Kansas City has brought on a Herb Christopher, which means the nickel defense is on the field. Kramer fakes the draw, fakes the screen left, throws on the run to Galbraith. And look at the Chiefs cover that one on the screen.
They had that one read all the way.
Art Still is there on the tackle, and the Vikings lose big yardage back inside their own 10-yard line. Tommy Kramer was showing a little bit of everything on this play.
Well, he shows the screen awful fast, but look at the pursuit. Look at the good read by the Kansas City defense. I tell you, you knew they were waiting for that play.
They lose 5.
Yep.
Art Still, a good rush put on also by Whitney Paul. It'll be third down and 16.
Bad field position caused by a very good punt.
His way out to the 14, where it'll be fourth down and 13. Coming up for the Minnesota Vikings, Ken Kramer, 91, the nose tackle, stopping Galbraith.
Any sort of a run back on this punt, the Chiefs have excellent field position.
Now, quickly, let me ask you about the parity situation.
Yes. Well, I can run it by you.
All right.
I think if New Orleans wins 2 games, and let's say they beat Seattle and they win 2, there's 2-2. That's 2 lousy teams with 2 victories, that's all. I don't think there's parity yet.
But there's parity in the schedule of those 2 teams playing a second division team.
There is still, Merle, going to be dominance in the NFL.
The good teams are always going to be there.
As long as they keep great scout. Boy, look at that punt. That's a fine punt.
Greg Coleman close it to midfield, and look at the Viking coverage. Keith Nord.
39-yard punt. The coverage tackled by number 49, Keith Nord. If I'm not mistaken, number 49 was worn by an old friend, Dale Hackbart, the madman.
Yes, sir. We'll be back right after this. The open in the Metropolitan Stadium being used for the last time today, and that shot provided us by a very good friend, Cliff Benson, who is working his last game here with our NBC affiliate, Channel 11 in the Twin Cities. Big run by Bledsoe, and Bledsoe inside the 40 to the 39. First down. Cliff Benson worked the first sports telecast ever here at Metropolitan Stadium back in 1956, when this was actually the first phase of a minor league ballpark. And there have been many of us who have been very fortunate to work with Cliff over the years.
Have you noticed over the last couple of minutes, Merle, the confidence of Steve Fuller in the play calling?
Yes, sir. Fuller. Incomplete, a little low, intended for Al Dixon, the tight end. WTCN, our network affiliate in the Twin Cities, helping us with our coverage today, and we appreciate it very much, gentlemen.
He had 2 men wide open, Merle. He didn't know which one to choose, and he threw a bad ball. They were wide open.
That's Fuller is aware of that too.
Yes, he is. He's upset with himself.
Coming up next, the second half of today's NFL doubleheader. We'll have Cincinnati at Atlanta for all of those viewing this ball game, except here in the Twin Cities area. Stan Rome is the man in motion, and Curtis Bledsoe starts the sweep left, makes his cut, gets inside the 40 to the 38. And the purple jersey of Doug Martin, number 79, and number 59, Matt Blair, the linebacker, to make the stop. It'll be third down 8.
And that outstanding coverage on that punt by number 49, Keith Nord, has caused them bad field position. Normally, they should have been down there in field goal range right now. Outstanding coverage.
5 defensive backs now on the field for the Vikings. John Swain, number 29, has come in to form the nickel.
And that doesn't surprise me historically. Bud Grant's special teams are usually the tops.
J.T. Smith has replaced Al Dixon. 3 wideouts in for Kansas City. Fuller throwing for the first down to J.T. Smith. He's got a reception, and he might be just a shade short.
I think he's a yard short.
Make that Carson, not J.T. Smith. Carson, number 88, a diving catch, but apparently a little bit short of a first down.
It's going to be a little bit short of the first down, but had he thrown it any further, it could have been interception. Look at the ball being thrown. It's low. There's a wind down there, Merle. Good coverage, good catch by Carlos Carson. He's going to come up a yard short.
4th down 1. Marv Levy has made his decision.
Sure. Why not?
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Listen,
this is WTCN TV, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you. 4th down 1. The Chiefs are going for it. Score tied at 3. They did not get it. Billy Jackson stopped by Matt Blair, number 59, who just always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Even with not making it, that's a good call by Marv Levy and the Chiefs. Tremendous defensive play. Watch it. Tremendous defensive play by the Vikings, but I like the call of Marv Levy.
So we've got 7 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the first half, and we're still tied at 3. The head coach of the Chiefs says, I know that people have said, hey, Kansas City doesn't have a wide open offense, but he said Alabama's Bear Bryant plays it pretty conservative, and look at his record. Well, the Chiefs went for the first down and missed it. Now Galbraith gets a yard. The flag is thrown right into that pile. Mike Bell, number 99, in there to make the tackle. Holding Minnesota. Philadelphia now ahead of St. Louis by 21-0. Hubert Oliver, 18-yard run for the 3rd Philadelphia touchdown. Jaworski has thrown for 1. Wilbert Montgomery has 1 on a 9-yard run, and the Eagles are putting it together today, Jim.
Oh, they should. Do you think Dick Vermeil has worked them pretty hard this week?
61 offense, first down.
Well, they probably worked out last night.
Well, Jim Huff from Utah State got caught for holding. They don't teach him that up in Logan, or was that Wes Hamilton, number 61?
I think Hamilton. Oh, Utah State guy. Oh, that's your school.
You bet.
Sammy White splits to the left for Minnesota. First down 20. Kramer looks for White. There he is. Makes a reception at the 31. Goes out of bounds. Eric Harris, who's having a great year for Kansas City, had the coverage as White plows his way through the snow. They had this field covered prior to the game, of course, for the tarp. Then they put the burners on it.
Watch the nose tackle. Watch Don Parrish. You think it's not tough in there? They don't earn their money? Goodness. Perfect pass by Kramer. What a catch. Good coverage. Check the snow on the sideline, folks. It's been cold and snowy here lately.
Kramer is now 5 out of 15 for 36 yards. Fuller of Kansas City, 6 for 10, 56 yards. Minnesota's total offense now at 74 yards. Kansas City at 91.
We've not seen Ahmad Rashad today, have we?
We have not. Ball batted down. I believe that was Art Still who had his hands up there. He's 6'8". He's certainly tall enough to bat him away. He missed 5 games this year with an injury. The Chiefs have really had some tough key injuries this year.
Yes, they have. You take a look at what the strong safety sees from his center field position. But watch Art Still step up there and block that. Look at it. Blocks the ball away. He blocked 2 last week. With him and Mike Bell in their defensive ends, they're going to be there a long while.
Here come the Vikings on 3rd down and 11. Throwing on the run, and a reception or not by Sammy White. Apparently a reception.
And the first down.
And Lloyd Burris, the strong safety on the coverage for Kansas City.
You see, Merle, that's the positive of having a Tommy Kramer. He's able to flush out of there, see the man he wants. He knows he needs a certain amount of yards for the first down. Look at him. He sees the man coming across, takes off, throws it, and they get it by look at that. 1 yard, a very, very good catch. Watch Gary Barbaro, number 26, all-pro this year again for the second time. Look at that. That's a nice catch.
Sammy White has rolled over the 1,000-yard mark now, 13 yards on that one. Kramer to the far side, incomplete to Terry LeCount. Lloyd Burris, the strong safety, had the coverage over there. White needed 26 yards to go over the 1,000-yard mark. He is now at 31 as we look at Terry LeCount come back to the huddle. He was a quarterback at Florida in the Wishbone. High school teammate of Greg Coleman, by the way, in Jacksonville. Coleman, the punter for the Vikings. Second down 10. Jim Turner was a quarterback. A lot of people don't remember that.
A way back up quarterback.
He was a fullback. He was a wide receiver. And he also did a little kicking. Kramer going to LeCount, threw the ball behind him and high.
That was a bad throw. He's having problems physically, but he's also having problems in this game to date. The field is frozen. He's not able to step on that hard ground and plant and step into the ball.
6 minutes to go in the first half. The score tied at 3. Bud Grant has said that he's not, well, he'll go along with going into the new Dome Stadium, but you know, so many teams have come in here in December and have been intimidated by the weather here.
The Vikings, as of the end of this game, will lose their late season edge from now on.
Third down 10. Kramer going to go for it. He does not get the first down. He is pulled down from behind on the 49-yard line by Art Still. And Kramer is short of a first down by 2.
And I tell you, this whole play right here is caused by excellent defense by the Chiefs. He sees they're covered. Look at him. He's got nowhere to go. But watch the agility and speed of Art Still. You say he's 6'8"?
Just 6'8".
Good.
252. Fourth down 2. Greg Coleman with a 41.7 average for the year. One kick today, a little less than 40.
And he shouldn't punt the ball right down the middle. They're lined up in a tandem back there. He should punt it off to either the left or the right sideline.
J.T. Smith, as they go for the block. Coleman couldn't quite fake that one, and Smith on the run from the 20. And look at Smith keep his balance and get an extra 10 yards at the 45.
And the reason it was successful is a bad punt, but JT was able to catch the ball on the dead run and catch the Vikings off guard. An excellent return.
A kick, 30 yards, 5 minutes, 2 seconds left to play in the first half. On an exchange of field goals, the score is tied at 3. Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota. The swan song for the Met today after 21 years of thrills and excitement of pro football and baseball. The Minnesota Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs are tied at 3. Carson in motion to the left. The pitch to Bledsoe, and Bledsoe across midfield to the 48. It'll be 3 yards to go for a first down. Let's go to Bryant Gumbel for an update.
Merle, there's laughs aplenty in Baltimore as the Patriots are playing the Colts. Following a Patriot punt that the Colts fumbled away but was called back because of a penalty, we had this joke of a punt. Still, the Colts couldn't take it in, but they did get a field goal. It's 3-0.
You know, Bryant, things have really, well, everything has happened to the Colts this year, including Robert Pratt going out for the coin toss and pulling a hamstring and missing a game or 2. Second down 3. Billy Jackson for the first down and more as the former Alabama All-American takes the ball to the 34-yard line. Dragged down from behind by John Turner, the left cornerback, number 27, and Dennis Johnson, 52, a fourth-round draft choice from USC. So it is a first down at the 34.
And the Chiefs have found something. They're running to their offensive right successfully the last 3 or 4 times. We're wondering, Joe Delaney's all warm and home in Kansas City along with Henry Marshall. Hey, guys, you ought to be here on the sidelines and enjoy it with your teammates.
Absolutely. Right down there in the snow on the sideline.
Yeah.
Gain of 14 yards by Billy Jackson. Score tied at 3. 3:38 to go in the first half. Bledsoe hit by Matt Blair. And Matt really popped him. Mark Mullaney, 77. The defensive left end also helping out, but that's Blair right there.
But take a look at Blair. What an athlete he is. He's the leading tackler. Look at this. Puts the head in there like the linebackers always do. He reminds me a great deal, or I should say the other way around, since Blair's got the seniority, of Bob Swinson in Denver. They're the same type of player.
Matt Blair, I don't know anybody who studies the game more than he does. He's working film all the time. 2nd and 10. Wide open is Curtis Bledsoe out of the backfield. He's got the first down, out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Kurt Knopf chases him out. Now let's go once again to New York, to Bryant Gumbel for an update.
Merle, at Soldier Field, the Bears are wrecking the playoff hopes of the Denver Broncos, already leading 7-3. Vinnie Evans calls Roland Harper's number, and following Walter Payton, Harper takes it the final 4 yards to move the Bears out in front of Denver, 14-3. Merle?
You know, Bryant and Jim, the Bears have absolutely nothing to lose. They're out there loose today, and of course it means everything to the Broncos.
Well, they own the AFC West this year to date.
Billy Jackson trying to get a block, and it is not going to work. Doug Martin, 79, slipped through there to make the tackle for a yard loss.
And they ran to the left, and they were unsuccessful. Stay with what gets you downfield.
Okay, but figure this one. Normally they're running behind Herkenhoff to the left side, right?
Yeah.
Because he's the better blocker for the run.
Okay.
Getty is a better pass blocker on the right side, and yet the last play, they go first down to the right side. 2-minute warning, and we'll be right back. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. At the 25-yard line, the Chiefs will have a 2nd down, 11. Talking about that Bronco ball game in Chicago, Jim, you were saying that.
Well, I was down talking to the Broncos all week, and I know since July they didn't want to go into Chicago, but now that it's a championship game for them, they're extremely worried about going in there.
2nd down, 11. This game tied at 3. Bledsoe on the quick hit through the middle, and down to the 17. We've got I believe, a loose ball. Scott Studwell.
The referee's going to leave it there and mark it. He called it dead. See, it's a quick opener. Excellent call downfield here. The offensive line's doing an outstanding job right in the center. He does fumble it in there, but the Vikings are really trying to talk the officials into this one. One thing they did that play for is they want to leave it right down the pipe for their kicker, because he would be kicking into a pretty stiff wind right now.
Willie Scott has come in as a tight end. 2 tight ends on for Kansas City on 3rd down and 6. Go to the run. Billy Jackson. Jackson, 2nd effort, 3rd effort, and across the 15 to the 14 before Studwell could get him down.
And it's going to be a close measurement here.
John Turner also in on the stop on Billy Jackson, who's having a good day. The Jets lead Green Bay. And we get a reaction from the former Jet, Jim Turner, up here. Scores and highlights on NFL 81 at halftime. It's not decided yet. 10 teams had a shot at it going into this final weekend of playoffs.
Merle, excuse me, that run to the right there was not a bad call. You've got a right-footed soccer kicker kicking from the right hash mark. I'd rather have this guy kick from the right hash mark than the left hash mark. He'll be able to pull it through.
Lowry is 13 out of 14 from this range, including one today. 33-yard effort by Lowry.
No, sir.
And he is off to the left. He hooked it.
He guided it. He should have kicked it. He pushed it. He guided it.
All right, Jim, before the ball game, you were saying you were watching Lowry warming up, and you were saying at that time that he was not driving the football.
Exactly. Because of the field is frozen. But we watched Danilo yesterday. He didn't kick it. He guided it on the ones he was unsuccessful with. No matter where you are in the field, you've got to kick that ball. Watch his approach to the ball. Now, the ground is frozen in his defense, and I think he's a fabulous kicker, but he's not driving on it. Watch him. He's just pushing it, what I call guiding it. Just a push kick.
So you're saying go out there and bang that ball.
Bang it.
Vikings take over at their own 20, 18 seconds to go in the first half. Score tied at 3. Vikings will kill the clock. And we're down to 12 seconds, and both teams start leaving the field. The Vikings have made their intentions known, and the clock runs out And there's the end of the first half. And the score, the Minnesota Vikings 3 on a field goal by Dan Meyer of 43 yards. Kansas City 3 on a 30-yard field goal by Nick Lowry, and we'll be back. Kansas City will receive the kickoff for the second half. Score tied at 3, an exchange of field goals in the first quarter. Dan Meyer 43 yards out for Minnesota. Nick Lowry 30 yards out for Kansas City.
You know, Merle, with the ground as cold and as hard as it is right now, it might not be a bad idea for Dan Meyer to do one of Freddie Cox's patented kickoffs, a power kick down to the corner, let it bounce, and hope that it'll bounce through. If he puts it in the air, it might hold it up, and they'll get a good run back on him.
Dan Meyer, short kick
Very
to
short.
the near side, and Murphy takes it out of the air at the 22, and Murphy coming up the sideline. The only man that could stop him is Dan Meyer. He is still going, and now with Dan Meyer putting a shoulder into Murphy, he slowed him up, and the Viking pursuit finally caught up with him.
And it was just what I was saying on the kickoff. Don't put it up and let the wind make it be a short kick. You're going to get a terrific return on you. Watch this. Watch how the ball bounces through his arms. Murphy's very alert, very wisely takes this ball. I'll tell you, if Dan Meyer doesn't put his shoulder in there, he's gone. Watch the hit by the kicker. Abnormal for the kickers to stick their nose in there like that. A terrific return. We see it again from the end zone angle. We'll enjoy this angle a lot better. Watch the blow that number 7, Rick Danmeyer, puts on him. Look at that. That's a nice play, Danmeyer. He saved a touchdown.
From the 37 of Minnesota, the pitch coming back to Billy Jackson, who had a good first half. Jackson coming down to the 20-yard line, roll out of bounds to the 19-yard line.
And they take it around right in, offensive right in. They've had a lot of success about that.
You mentioned that back in the second quarter, Jim, and it has worked for them. Tom Hannon making the tackle after a big gainer. First a 44-yard return, then an 18-yard pickup by Billy Jackson. The offensive tackles are Herkenhoff and Getty. The guards are Buddy and Condon. Jack Rudney is the center. Al Dixon, the tight end. And we have the alternating wide receivers. We've had Stan Rome, Carlos Carlson, J.T. Smith. We've had James Murphy. And the running backs basically of Billy Jackson and Curtis Bledsoe. First down to the 19. Score tied at 3. Billy Jackson, and look who's got him wrapped up. Matt Blair, who's just had an outstanding day. But let's give credit to Mark Mulady, number 77 also. A first-round draft choice in 1975 out of Colorado State.
Well, they were in a defensive alignment of a 4-3. Nobody touched Matt Blair. He just walked across the line of scrimmage, actually touched him, 1 yard behind the line.
And just a fantastic football player, Matt Blair, and a great athlete. You've got to be an athlete to do all the things he does.
Great racquetball player.
Oh, you play a little racquetball, too.
A lot, and I know Matt Blair does.
The NFL champ, Jim Turner. Second down, 10. Jackson to the 15. And 55, Scott Studwell, the linebacker. Mark Mullaney, 77, the defensive left end. Bring him down on the 15-yard line. We're in the third quarter. We played a couple of minutes. The score tied at 3. Kansas City, if the Chiefs can win this ball game, that would clinch third place in the West for them with a 9-7 record. And it would be the most wins for Kansas City since 1971, when they were 10-3-1 and won the AFC Western Division title. Now a timeout as Steve Fuller wants to go to the sideline to talk to Marv Levy, and they'll have 2 left in the second half, and nobody likes to take timeouts this early in a half. So with a timeout, score tied at 3, and we'll return after this. Steve Fuller had just gone to the sideline to talk to Marv Levy, and Jim, when a team has to take a timeout in a situation like this, what does that do to the defense as far as thinking, hey, those guys don't know what they want to do?
Well, Fuller was confused as to whoever was sending the signal in. It did allow the defense to gather some time, but he did do the right thing because they're so close now. They don't want to make an offensive mistake.
Third down on the 15. And it is J.T. Smith for a first down inside the 10, first and goal to go. J.T. rolling over 1,000 yards in the first half today. The 4-year veteran from North Texas State, but let's hold it up on that one. Just a minute, if you will. They're going to move that ball back to the 10-yard line.
They moved it back a full yard. And they're going to go for it. Coach Levy's going to go for it rather than kick.
All right, let's see where he is. And he was at the 9, but apparently the ball
Yeah.
Spotted at the 10, just inside the 10.
They've got a half a yard to go for this one.
Jackson has carried 14 times for 59 yards. We've got James Hadnot in there now for the first time today, I believe. Hadnot leads the block for Jackson, and he will be very close to the first down if he doesn't have it. I think he has it.
I think he has. He followed Hadnot there when Hadnot went in motion. Once again, it depends upon where that official lays the ball down.
Is it really a game of inches? That's what they say about baseball. They've played a few games of that sport in this stadium over the last 21 years.
And the Vikings are motioning that he didn't make it.
Well,
boy, this is going to be close.
Any part of the ball will do it. If they didn't make it, the crowd will tell you.
Just watch the Viking players.
Oh, Matt Blair said, hey, let's take a picture of that.
Look at him. Nonetheless, a good call by the Chiefs, but outstanding defense to hold them within inches by the Vikings.
So the Kansas City Chiefs are still alive. First down, goal to go. Marv Levy and his staff, he's following that game plan. He's got, well, let's check this score coming up here. Denver really in trouble at Chicago, 21-3. But now let's get back to this ball game. On first and goal, Bledsoe right through the middle of the 6. Bledsoe, the second-year man from San Diego State, who really hasn't carried the ball that much this year for Kansas City. 9 carries, 26 yards going into this game.
Well, offensively, that's a good call by the Chiefs, because you know that the Vikings, and you know how experienced they are in defense, they're going to tighten it up down there, and rather than go around in the possibility of taking a 4- and 5-yard loss, go right at them when you're within the 10.
I got bad news for you. Your old team, Denver Broncos, just got nailed on a 65-yard interception and touchdown return by Gary Vincent. 21-3, Chicago over Denver. Bledsoe at the 5, and the Viking middle really gets tough with James Duck White, 72, the nose tackle, plugging the hole.
I tell you, it's tough. When you get down in a 5- and 6-yard line, you're going to separate the men from the boys on that offensive and defensive line. But you know, the Chiefs are following the old veteran, Jack Rudnay. Only 2 men on the field today have played in that Super Bowl IV, Rudnay and Ron Yeri.
And Mick Tingeloff's having a party after the game.
He's been outside since 5 a.m. roasting a pig. A big party after the game.
Third down and goal. 3 wide receivers aboard for Kansas City. Fuller, got to go to Jackson. Jackson's got it. Flag down, however. Billy Jackson goes in for the touchdown. The flag was thrown at the 2. Brad Buddy, 66, was the pulling guard to lead the blocking. But the Vikings are indicating the penalty is against Kansas City.
What an outstanding run. There was some great blocking going on. I'm wondering if they didn't call Brad Buddy on the block there with his hands out in front of him, possibly in the face. Oh, gee, look at this one. Taking it back to the 15-yard line.
Holding, 84 offense. It's third down.
Al Dixon, the tight end, gets the call of the hold.
He's probably on a post block at his tight end position as Jackson takes the ball around in, and tremendous blocking by the Chiefs, by the way, but they were caught for the foul. Loss of 7 points. Gee.
Third down, goal to go from the 15. In the end zone, touchdown. Stan Rome kept roaming around in the back of the end zone, and finally Fuller spotted him and hits him for the touchdown from 15 yards out. The Chiefs take the lead, and that is Rome's first touchdown of the year.
And successful because of Steve Fuller's mobility. They moved Fuller back into the starting quarterback job 2 weeks ago against the Broncos. Look at him running, just waiting for Rome to open up. I'll tell you, the quarterback's mobility caused that touchdown. Watch this spike.
Tough to do on the frozen turf today.
Might pop the ball.
Nick Lowry for the extra point try. He's 37 out of 38 now this year. So the Chiefs take the lead with 10 minutes and 8 seconds left to play in the third quarter. It's Kansas City ahead by 10-3. The Chiefs on a short drive, 8 plays, 37 yards, take the lead here in the third quarter. And Lowry is kicking off into a very tough wind, Jim Turner.
I would not put the ball up in the air. Let's see what he does. I think I'd kick it to Keith Nord. He's not as familiar with holding the ball as Eddie Payton. Put it right up the pipe. It's going to be a short kick.
And Payton on the 14th. Payton out across the 30. He stopped at about the 31-yard line by Dave Klug, a linebacker. And right now we have updates coming from New York. Let's go to Bryant Gumbel.
Merle, in Chicago, the Bears are ruining the playoff dreams of the Denver Broncos, leading 14-3. Gary Fensick intercepts Craig Morton. Watch the block he gets from 44. Terry Schmidt, he goes 69 yards. The Bears move in front 21-3. Too bad they don't play in the AFC West, Merle. They're 3-0 against opponents from that division.
Bryant, that's unbelievable. Let's get a rebuttal from Jim Turner on that.
No, I'd say the Chicago Bears own the AFC West this year. There's no question.
The Vikings ball at the Viking 31. They're trailing for the first time today. Rashad is in for the first time. As Kramer goes to the far side to Terry LeCount. Whitney Paul has the coverage on the short pass of about 7 yards. It'll be second down 3. And LeCount's having a bit of trouble getting up. Being attended by the Minnesota doctor.
Dr. Lannon retiring after 21 years of the Minnesota Vikings physician. I think that's tremendous.
Terry LeCount being attended, and we've got a timeout. 9 minutes, 40 seconds left to go in the third quarter. The Chiefs lead it by 10-3. Back at the Met, second down, coming up, 4 yards to go for Minnesota. Up over the ball, Dennis Swilly. To the left, goes back over the middle. It's dropped by Joe Sincer as he took a whack from Gary Spaney, number 59, who leads the Kansas City Chiefs in tackles. And Sincer came into the game with 972 yards in receptions.
And that's not like him to drop another ball like that. He's had an all-pro year. Catchable ball.
It is 10-3 here, and in Chicago it is 21-3 Denver. If the Bears win that game, then Denver's got to have help tomorrow night. From Oakland, Tampa Bay ahead of Detroit now 10-7. The one that wins that one wins the NFC Central. Third down. Galbraith breaking tackles and bangs his way for a first down at the 43. Whitney Paul, the left linebacker, the outside linebacker, finally yanked him down. New York Jets ahead of Green Bay by 21-3. The Jets, boy, they want to get in that playoff picture. They've had quite a year. They got off to a bad start, but bounced back well. Philadelphia running away from St. Louis 28-0 as Philadelphia charges for his 10th win of the year. And Baltimore ahead of New England by 10-7. New Orleans and San Francisco, a little surprise there.
That sure is.
The 49ers are in. Ted Brown gets bulldogged down and just about at the line of scrimmage by Gary Spaney.
And you know, a comment about the 49er New Orleans game. The 49ers might be resting some key people for a week in case they have some little nicks, because they're already in. Why get somebody hurt that might hurt them their chances for the championship and the Super Bowl?
I'm sure it's just a tune-up for the regulars, as you will, who are playing any time at all today.
Well, and I think that's a smart move by Coach Walsh. You know, he's probably the coach of the year in the NFC, and every move he's made in the last couple of years has been brilliant.
Rashad to the right, White to the left, Sincer in the slot left. Kramer under a rush. Now throws over the middle, and it was almost intercepted by Whitney Paul, number 53. Galbraith, the fullback, over the middle, and Paul was right there. It has not been a good day for Tommy Kramer, who came into this game with 3,735 yards passing.
It really hasn't been a good month for the Minnesota Vikings. He's flushed out, though, by the blitz of number 59, Gary Spaney. Now he goes ahead and makes the bad throw. Almost intercepted by number 53, Whitney Paul.
Third down 10 for Minnesota. 7:47 to go in the third quarter. Kansas City leading 10-3. Out of the shotgun this time. First time today. Kramer incomplete to Sammy White. He had White wide open. The pass was not that good.
Well, when things are going bad, you know, they just happen. I'll tell you, he's been under a tremendous amount of pressure all day, Kramer has. From the shotgun, you'd think he'd be able to get the ball off without being pressured. Look at the shot he takes from Kramer there, the nose tackle. The young three-man defensive line of the Chiefs is doing an excellent job today on the Viking offensive line.
Greg Coleman, who has kicked well today, although the average doesn't show it, but this wind has played havoc with the kickers. J.T. Smith is deep for Kansas City. Not too much on that one, but he may get a roll. A little bit of a roll anyway at the 21-yard line, 22-yard line. And the Chiefs will take over there with 7.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. A touchdown pass of 15 yards from Fuller to Rome has given Kansas City the lead in this period.
That's an old field goal kicker. That's a sickie.
I know he's a field goal kicker. Probably one of your students. Well, it's 21 degrees in Minnesota. The wind chill well below zero. A strong wind out of the south. Kansas City leading Minnesota 10-3. LeCount has bruised ribs, I believe, and is out on the sideline right now as Kansas City takes over the Chiefs 22. Fuller to Billy Jackson. Jackson has been a workhorse today, going to the 26, and Scott Studwell, 55, the linebacker, is there on the tackle. Jackson has replaced the injured Joe Delaney, who's home in Kansas City watching, and I'll tell you, I was really looking.
Merle, in Chicago, the Denver Broncos have cut into the Chicago Bears lead. Craig Morton going 6 yards to Riley Odoms. In the third period, Denver now trails 21-10. And Merle, it's 72 degrees in 6A.
Leads here. Kansas City leading here by a score of 10-3. Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota. Fuller at quarterback, second down, 6 on the call. It goes to Bledsoe, and Bledsoe is racked up after about a yard gain by Randy Holloway, number 75, and Willie Teal, 37. Kansas City tied with Minnesota at 3 here in the third quarter. Cut loose with a Fuller to Rome pass for a lead touchdown of 15 yards. And the Kansas City Chiefs are in front 10-3. They got the touchdown with a little more than 10 minutes to go. We're down at 6 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the third quarter. It's cold in Minnesota. The final game to be played at the Met. Next year, they go indoors downtown at the big Metrodome. Sellout crowd this afternoon. Nobody wanted to miss this one. They wanted to be in on the swan song of the Met. And the flag goes down as Bledsoe carries for near a first down. Fred McNeil, 54, the linebacker, on the stop. And let's see what the flag's about.
I got a feeling we're going to get another call against number 84, Al Dixon, this time on number 59, Matt Blair, for holding. We'll take a look.
Well, let's see if Jim Turner's eyes are as good as they
should name names
were in the past.
Look at Matt. He's telling them.
We had an exchange of field goals in the first period. Dan Meyer booting one 43 yards for Minnesota. And then Nick Lowry coming back with a 30-yarder for Kansas City. We were tied at the half at 3. It is now 10-3 Kansas City.
Holding, 65 on the offense, third down.
Not Al Dixon, but Tom Condon, number 65.
I heard you say if it's not Dixon, it's Condon.
Yeah, you're right. As we see it again, we just see a great run. We don't really see the holding as well as we should. He does have his arm tucked under.
Third down, 13. Flag going to be there. Now, I don't know if that's going to be offensive pass interference or defense. Teal battling Carlos Carson for the football.
This is going to be interesting because they can call this one either way. Take a look at it. We see that it's a good throw, but it's excellent coverage. Look at this. They're going to call it offensive pass interference.
And Carson say, hey, not me, the other guy. No, it's the other guy. It's Teal. So the interference call goes against Kansas City, and Minnesota will reject the penalty, I believe, and run up the down to 4th down. Or will they? We've been wrong about 3 times today and anticipating the calls.
Pass interference. 88 on the offensive team is declined. It's 4th
We're
down.
right on that one. They declined it. Now let's go to New York and Brian Gumble.
Merle, here's a quick highlight from Baltimore. This is the Patriots action. Tom Owen going 15 yards to Don Westbrook. And in the race for the #1 draft pick, the Colts are winning because they're losing. It's 14-10 in the second, Merle.
All right, Bryant, and Gossett gets it away. The kicking high into the wind, the ball rolling around and finally out of bounds. And out of bounds in the 44-yard line. 5:45 to go in the 3rd quarter here in Minnesota. Kansas City 10, Minnesota 3. And we'll be back right after this. Well, there's another old kicker over across the field there.
Mr. Viking.
Yes, sir. There he is. Next year, he won't be able to wear that garb
I think he'll
inside.
have to wear purple shorts indoors.
It is 1st down in the 44 of Kansas City. And the pass is completed to Ahmad Rashad. That's his first reception. Whitney Paul had the coverage. Not too much on that.
No, they're calling it incomplete. They
I
say
thought he scooped it off the
yeah,
ground.
that's what they're calling it. Scooped it. Ahmad's talking to him now. That's what they're calling it.
It sure looked like he scooped it. Bud Grant was right there.
Well,
He
I
didn't
think Bud's
so.
got a good point because this official was standing right there and didn't call it. See, there's an official right there watching the ball, and he doesn't call it. It's the official behind, not the official that we see. It's the official behind that calls it a scoop. See, we can see his right arm. I think Bud has a pretty good gripe right there.
Ricky Young has come on the field for the first time this afternoon. 7-year veteran from Jackson State. He's in at a running back spot. 5:39 to go in the 3rd quarter, and we've got a timeout for the Minnesota Vikings. Some kind of confusion there, and Tommy Kramer said, okay, that'll do it. Let's go talk about it.
Nevertheless, whether that pass was completed or not, Tommy Kramer has not thrown well.
Bud Grant going to talk to Kramer, and of course on the second half of our NBC NFL doubleheader today, the Cincinnati Bengals, who have won the Central Division of the AFC, a tremendous year for Forrest Gregg. They're playing the Atlanta Falcons, and you will be seeing that game, except for you fans in the Twin Cities area. I was going to ask why.
I think that's why. I think that defensive team should be given some credit.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League is prohibited. 21 degrees in Minnesota as we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is WTCN TV, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Merle Harmon and Jim Turner with you at Metropolitan Stadium, Bloomington, Minnesota. 2nd down 10 for Tommy Kramer and the Vikings. Making a play action. Kramer on target this time to Rashad. Rashad down inside the 20 at the 19, 1st down. He caught a ball a moment ago that was questionable. They said he scooped it up. This time he takes it for a 1st down just inside the 20-yard line. Barbaro and Harris converge to make the tackle, and Rashad has now caught passes in 77 consecutive games.
And leave it to number 28, Ahmad Rashad, the reliable veteran, a George Sauer type, to come in with a big catch after everybody's been dropping him all day. Look at that, catches it over the middle, a fine throw. Maybe his presence on the field is going to give Kramer the added confidence that he needs.
Rashad, tendonitis in the right foot, making an appearance here in the 3rd quarter. Screen set up. Tried to hit Galbraith, but he was well covered by Jackson there. Now let's go to Brian Gumble in New York for an update.
Merle, in Baltimore, the Colts have taken over the lead, and the Butler did it. To be specific, Raymond Butler. This is Burt Jones, number 7. This is Raymond Butler, number 80. What you're seeing is a 53-yard pass play. The Colts are out in front, 17-14. Merle?
The Butler did it. You know, Bryant made a good point a little while ago about the loser of that ball game. That's the #1 draft choice. Now 5 backs on the field for Kansas City. 2nd and 10. Sammy White, oh, he just almost pulled it back with a second effort. Barbaro had the coverage, and White, the ball a little bit ahead of him, and yet White reached out there with a second effort and tried to make a one-handed catch.
It would have been a great catch. We've seen him do it before. A fine throw by Tommy Kramer, but we've seen him make those catches before. I'm not saying he should have caught it. As we look at it, what a catch this would have been. Tips off. Look at the second effort there. That's just outstanding effort on his part.
Great shot from Cliff Benson, a retiring cameraman.
And the second, very strong, right on the target pass by Kramer. I think just the fact of having Rashad on the field, Kramer feels better.
Third down now, 10 yards to go. Kramer with some time, wheels it out to Galbraith, and he is short of a first down at the 15-yard line. Galbraith run out of bounds by Whitney Paul, the left linebacker. And, yep, there. You saw Rick Danmeyer say, "Coach, now, how do you want me?"
Well, this is a pressure type situation. They need these just for the scoring combination. They need 3 points here, so that if they do score a touchdown, they'll go ahead. Kramer was looking for both Sammy White and Rashad on that last pass play.
What role does the holder play now?
I'll tell you, they are so important. Freddie Cox here all those years with Paul Krause, those years of Stinnerud and Lenny Dawson, Dave Pirelli with me. They're vital to the kicking game.
33 yards on this effort. Danmeyer bangs it away, and it's right through there.
That's
so
a good
Danmeyer has 2 field goals today. Checked at 43 and 33 yards. And with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go, it is 10-6 here in the third quarter.
We're going to come back and take a look at Rick Danmeyer's form. I quite frankly think he has no form. He's a thump kicker. Look at that, one step and leg it through. But I tell you, it doesn't matter how it looks. 3 points on the board, that's the result.
So with 4:30 to go, the Vikings trail by 4. A sellout crowd at the Met. And you might, if you just joined us, you'd say, well, why a sellout today? Both these clubs are out of it. This is the final game to be played in this big ballpark. I say big, it's 47,000, not big enough anymore. The new one will be 63,000.
But not only that, Merle, there's another point to be made. They talk about the Denver Bronco fans and other fans around the league. Hey, the Minnesota Viking fans, not only are they hardy people because of the weather, but they're here all the time supporting their Vikings.
Oh, they've been sold out all year. In fact, I asked earlier this week, I said, how many no-shows are you expecting? And the Viking ticket office said, no-shows. We're being besieged by ticket requests. Everybody wants to be here for the final game at the Met. Coming up next, Cincinnati will be playing in Atlanta. You'll see the Central Division champion Cincinnati Bengals, who are 11-4 against the Atlanta Falcons of the Western Division. The Falcons going for their 8th win against 8 losses. Danmeyer to kick it away. Over Murphy's head. He better go get that ball. And so the touchback will bring the ball out to the 20-yard line. We've got an injured Chief near midfield.
See, this is a good kick. It's low. The wind takes it. He misplays it a bit, but there's enough wind on the field that Danmeyer drove it low into the end zone. We've got a Chief down on the field.
That's Phil Kansick, I believe. So Murphy, a recent signee, a rookie out of Utah State, cut by the Vikings earlier this year, had one big return today for Kansas City. And Kansick is the man down for Kansas City. Phil is a sophomore from Northern Arizona. You know, he has a reputation. Yeah, a sophomore. He's second-year man. Kansick has a reputation of being a very reckless football player, and reckless football players sometimes get the bell rung.
Well, and they belong on special teams. That's for sure.
So Kansick down. I guess he's still a sophomore, second-year man. It's the same thing.
I haven't heard it said in those terms.
It's 10-6, Kansas City over the Minnesota Vikings. We have 4 minutes and 22 seconds left to play in the third quarter. You know, Jim, the Vikings, knowing they were leaving this turf, the natural grass, and the December frozen turf, have been gearing their team for the artificial turf in the new Metrodome.
And that's so interesting that they told us Sensor is going to be even greater on the turf. Jarvis and Redwire, and they think will be tremendous on the turf.
Kansas City out of the eye. The eye back, Billy Jackson. He has really run hard today out to the 28-yard line.
Well, he's run hard. They're running off their offensive right side with success as they've been doing all day. The one thing Fuller's concerned about right now, don't throw an interception. Hey, guys, hold on to the ball. Don't give him a cheap, good field position and a cheap turnover here. Don't do it.
Jackson, 7 yards, gives him 72 for the day. Second down, 3. The Vikings, as Jim was mentioning a moment ago, are going for more speed with their ball club for the artificial turf, all the way around. Jackson again on the pitch. Jackson for about a yard, if that much. Scott Studwell, 55, is one of the tacklers. Mark Mullaney, 77.
I'll tell you, it'd be interesting to watch the wily old veteran on the offensive line, Jack Rudney of the Kansas City Chiefs, in this play. Look at him. He's been there forever, it seems. Watch how he comes down the line. He knows who he has to block. Just fill the gap and come in and take a shot. Jack didn't hit anybody that time. Why am I talking about him?
Well, he's a friend of yours.
He's a very good friend of mine.
I heard you say before the game you would take care of it. Third down, 1. Chicago, 18 over Denver in the third quarter. Bledsoe across the 30, and he should have the first down.
It's going to depend, once again, where they put the ball.
They've been moving that ball around a lot today.
Yeah, they have. They're going to give it to him first down. You see, the thing, they've got to get out of this field position, Merle. If they have to punt, they know their punter is not the wily veteran that Grupp was. He doesn't have the great leg. He would be kicking against a very strong wind, and they don't want to give Minnesota good field position.
First down for Kansas City. Rome is split to the right. Willie Jackson on the sweep left. Jackson rolled out of bounds at about the 33 by Kirk Knopf. A hard hitter out of the University of Kansas. Randy Holloway, 75. Good pass rusher. The book on him is he does not play the run that well. He's playing the defensive right end for Minnesota. Second down, 7 after a gain of 3. Now Holloway is out, and Doug Martin has come in to replace him.
They're in their 4-man defensive line now.
To show the blitz, the hole is plugged with the linebackers. Bledsoe for no more than a yard, if that much. And Fred McNeil, 54, said, I'll help you up. You didn't go anywhere anyway. Scott Studwell, 55, assisting.
And this is the point we were trying to make just a few seconds ago, Merle. If they don't make a first down here, they're putting their punter in a pretty tough situation where he is punting against the wind to a very good special teams in Minnesota Vikings.
Good point, because there's a minute left to play. If they get a first down, they get out of that situation if they have to punt.
Yes.
So this is a very large play for Kansas City. Third down, 6. Fuller throws it up there. Great catch by J.T. Smith. Or is it Carson? Here we go with Carson. Carson, the speedster, on the way. Carson down to the 10-yard line. A big, big play. Willie Teal, 37, made the tackle. But what a catch by Carlos Carson, who has tremendous speed. Might be the fastest man on the field for Kansas City. And he took a little jolt there as he went down at about the 10-yard line.
I tell you, it was just a perfect pass by Fuller. That's called an OS, an over the shoulder. But look at the reaction that Carson has. He comes back for the ball. The defender wasn't looking at the ball, and they take it for a tremendous gain. I tell you, that is a gutsy call by Steve Fuller right there at that situation.
The ball is marked at the 12 finally. Here's the hit.
I think he was just crushed with the ball in his stomach.
A 53-yard pickup as the third quarter comes to an end. And after 3, Kansas City 10, Minnesota 6. The fourth quarter comes on with Kansas City ahead of Minnesota. And the Chiefs have the ball on the 12-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings after a 53-yard pass play from Fuller to Carson has put the Chiefs deep into the Minnesota territory. Billy Jackson. Jackson brought down inside the 10, near the 8-yard line. Scott Studwell, 55, making the stop. Kansas City with now 242 yards total offense. The Vikings 125.
Now the stats are showing the difference that we've been seeing all the time, and they're controlling that clock. At first it was the Vikings. That first drive took 6-7 minutes on the Vikings side of the clock.
Kansas City with the ball 12 more minutes. In that Denver game in Chicago, we have a report on Craig Morton being injured. We'll pass along in a moment. Second down, 6. With too much time. Now pops it out to Bledsoe. He dropped the ball. It may have been a completion and a fumble. Vikings ball, apparently, if it is a completion, and I believe it is, and the indication is the Vikings have recovered it. Marv Levy says no, it was a fumble. The officials say it was a fumble, and the Vikings recover, and Studwell fell on the football, and Levy is livid.
This is a backbreaker, Merle. You're in scoring range. Tremendous coverage by the Vikings. Everybody is covered. He's not going to throw that ball in. Now he sees he's got nowhere to go. He throws it off, drops the ball. Running before he had it. I tell you, they're in field goal range. Outstanding play by the Minnesota defense. They caused that play.
So Bledsoe just couldn't quite hang on. He had a couple of strides, and now the turnovers, the big turnover there gives the ball to the Vikings. Galbraith, Galbraith plugging away, trying to get the first down. He got about 10 on the play. Ricky Young was out there leading the blocking for Big Tony Galbraith, the former Missouri star. It is enough for a first down at the 18, and Lloyd Burris, 34, the strong safety, had the tackle.
And does it ever fail? You pick up a fumble or an interception, your offensive team comes in charged up, and they make a big play the first time right out of the box.
Chicago ahead of Denver 28-17 as Steve DeBerg, who replaced the injured Craig Morton, has thrown 26 yards to Rick Upchurch for a touchdown. The Bears have run 2 interceptions back for TDs today against Denver. Ricky Young trying to find somewhere to go, and there's no place to go as he takes the loss back to the 15. Gary Spaney, 59, the linebacker for Kansas City on the hit.
Spaney on the tackle.
13 minutes to go in this ball game. Kansas City leading by a score of 10-6. Well, Morton, he's
had
getting a few bumps this year, although he had a great start, didn't he?
He's been the leading percentage passer in the NFL for about 85% of the year, but he's been taking his lumps just like every other quarterback in the league.
Second down 11 after a yard loss. Show the blitz. Kramer out of the pocket, throwing it to Sensor, the tight end at the 32-yard line. Lloyd Burris, 34, the strong safety, has the tackle. A gain of 13, another first down for Minnesota.
Boy, that's a gutsy call by Tommy Kramer. Backed up close to the end zone like that. A fake to Tony Galbraith. Throws it to one of his favorite receivers, Joe Sensor, the tight end. Is wide open, but what a gutsy call that is to get it out of bad field position.
Detroit has moved ahead of, or rather Tampa Bay has moved ahead of Detroit 13-10 on a Billy Capice field goal of 30 yards. Galbraith running wide to the 37. Ricky Young again, the lead blocker. Gary Spaney making the tackle with help from Ken Kramer. The Vikings are really testing Bell's side, and Spaney and Jackson.
Well, Bell is so quick, so active. They feel they can trap him. They feel they can catch him in an upfield charge.
Second down, 5. Sensor out. Brewer in as the tight end. That's enough for a first down as Tony Galbraith gets the call again. He has really been a workhorse. Well, he wanted action. Burris making the tackle. Another first down for the Minnesota Vikings.
And that's the way you successfully attack a 34 defense. Go right at the nose tackle. Let the running back take it off the center's block.
Galbraith has carried 9 times for 53 yards. He only had 143 yards for the season going into today's game.
Well, they said they were going to use him a great deal.
First down, Minnesota. 10 minutes, 42 seconds to play. Kramer to the far side for 12 yards. And another first down as Harris puts the wrap on Ahmad Rashad. And Rashad is suddenly becoming very visible in this second half of the ball game.
And I know we mentioned a second ago, but Tommy Kramer, that's his second perfect pinpoint pass of the day, and only since Rashad's been on the field.
Rashad is a 9-year veteran from Oregon. They got him in a trade with Seattle back in 1976. Well, remember when they made that deal, somebody was questioning the Vikings about, hey,
what an asset he's been.
Rashad 2 for 37. What a career. Up over the top goes Ricky Young out of Jackson State, but he's stopped at the 39-yard line after a 2-yard pickup. Mike Bell, who is finishing his, we talked about Mike Bell a little while ago, he's finishing his first full year without having an injury.
Well, he started as the second man being drafted in the entire NFL with an injury. Missed the entire season.
Brewer goes out. Sensor is back in as a tight end for Minnesota. Rashad splitting to the right side. Sensor, the tight end, is set left. Sammy White in the slot. Kramer, there's Sensor. And look at the move of that big guy. Joe out of Westchester State in Pennsylvania, getting down to the 35-yard line, short yardage. Jackson and Burris converge on the tackle. Let me see how many yards now Sensor needs to have 1,000. That'll give him 18 for the day, and he needs 10 more to hit the 1,000-yard mark. Joe Sensor.
And as our viewing audience may have heard some boos, that wasn't for the players on the field. The American flag, just the rope that holds it up on the flagpole just broke, and I think some of the fancier feel that it was torn down. It wasn't. The rope broke.
Third down, 4. Kramer under a rush. They've got him. Back on the 42-yard line. He dropped the football, and the Chiefs get it. The Chiefs now have exchanged fumble recoveries with Minnesota, but the Chiefs have about 60 extra yards to go from where they gave up the ball a little while ago. Ken Kramer is the man who put the hit on.
Well, see, he's looking for his receivers. He knows who he wants to go right away. But look at this. You've got Bell, Still, and Kramer in there. They caused the fumble.
And Kramer wound up with it. We'll be back after this.
Good call by the official on the fumble here by Kramer. We'll be able to see it. Ball comes out of his hands before he hits the ground, but we've been talking about Still, Kramer, and Bell all day, and they've harassed him enough for him to remember their name for a long time.
From the 41, Kansas City in possession with a 10-6 lead. Screen right. Not too much on that one to J.T. Smith. Matt Blair, 59, the outside linebacker. John Swain, who's now playing the cornerback spot, up to make the tackle. They get 5. It'll be second down, 5. There's the time. 8:12 to go in the game. Kansas City leading 10-6. The score at halftime was tied at 3. Tampa Bay and Detroit. Hey, the Buccaneers are starting to roll, and the winner of that one takes the NFC Central Division title. Remember, right after this ball game that you're watching now, we'll be going to the Cincinnati-Atlanta game as you watch the AFC Central Division champion Cincinnati Bengals on all stations except here in the Twin Cities as Billy Jackson goes for possibly a first down. He's going to be very close. Keith Nord, the free safety, made the tackle at the 49-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll have a measurement. Ten to 6, the Chiefs lead.
And Merry Christmas to all the Viking fans, all the Kansas City fans. Merle, you and your family, happy holidays.
Thank you, Jim. Delighted to be working with you today. Finally caught up with you after these years. Jim and I spent a lot of pleasant years in New York when I was there doing the Jets games, and Jim was kicking field goals in Windy Shea Stadium, kicking the Jets to the Super Bowl. Jackson has carried 21 times for 83 yards as they got the first down. Fuller 147 yards in the air. Jackson again. Look at him break outside. He's close to another first down and now may have it at the 39-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Matt Blair, 59, Scott Studwell, 55. Those linebackers have been called upon time and time again today.
What an outstanding move. He saw right at the line of scrimmage. He had nothing. Bounced outside to the right. Jack Rudney looks like he's a little shaken up. He's up on his feet, but he looks like he's, you know how those centers are, and the defensive linemen are on their heads all the time. I'll tell you, you talk about a war horse and an NFL prototype, Jack Rudney of the Chiefs.
You know, you made an interesting comment last night about the importance of a center and the snap and not giving the snap away.
Well, that's why the Minnesota Vikings have been so successful historically against field goals and extra points and punts. They don't look at anybody's eyes. They watch that center's hand, and it is a science. Alan Page and all the years, they weren't lucky. That's by design. That's one of the great things that Bud Grant brought with him. Why not let's try blocking these kicks and these punts?
Billy Jackson got another first down, 10 yards. Well, maybe we can have a look at one. And what Jack Rudney, if they either score by field goal attempt or at least try for a field goal or an extra point, maybe we can take a look at Jack Rudney's hands. First down. Billy Jackson to the 35. Gain of 3, second down 7. 6:18 to go in the game. Kansas City 10, Vikings 6.
Quite frankly, Merle, I think that Steve Fuller and the Chiefs are going to be satisfied and content right now to run the clock down, try to make one more first down, chip a field goal in, and just try to take a victory home. I know the Vikings aren't going to allow it, though.
Billy Jackson is 3 yards away from a 100-yard day. Vikings 78 yards rushing in the game.
Well, they're not known for a rushing team. That doesn't surprise me there.
How times change, though, huh?
Yes, sir.
Used to have the great rushing. Billy Jackson, look at him make his moves, and he breaks out of it. Would-be tackled by Mark Mullaney and struggles forward for a yard or so. Finally, Studwell, 55, comes up and puts the stopper on him. It'll be third down and 4 for Kansas City with 5 minutes and 34 seconds left to play in this game. Jackson at 99 yards. Chiefs are in no hurry right now to get back in that huddle or out of the huddle.
No, they're in no hurry. They're doing this by design. They know if they do come out with 3 and the Vikings score, they've got a tie. They can go into overtime. I think they're calling a good game now. You want to come in with a victory no matter how it is. Let's go for the victory.
Third down for the Chiefs. It's at 4, it's 6. Jackson, I think, is going to be a little bit short. Matt Blair, 59, again on the tackle.
Well, with that, he probably went over 100 yards on the day, but watch Matt Blair's reactions as a linebacker. Look at this, his size, his speed, works his way down the line to make the initial hit in the tackle.
Fourth down, about a yard. Matt Blair has had an outstanding career. He's out of Iowa State. Here's another guy. He was the number 2 draft choice in 1974, but really didn't get a lot of attention in college.
Well, take a look at Bob Swenson coming out of the University of California playing for the Broncos. He wasn't even drafted. He was a free agent. Now look at him. He's in the Pro Bowl today.
Well, he's got a delay on the field at the moment. And now Fuller has called a timeout, and he'll go to the sideline. 4 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in the ball game. The Chiefs broke a 3-3 halftime tie and have gone in front 10-6 with 4:45 to play. After 4 minutes and 45 seconds of play, that's the time on the clock. The Met at Bloomington will have passed into history.
A lot of people are glad of not having to come up here in December to play football.
Fourth down 1. Bledsoe the call. I don't know if he did it or not.
I don't think he did it.
Scott Studwell made the stop. The fans don't think he made it. The Vikings don't think he made it. The officials don't think he made it. The ball goes over.
That was a great hit by the Vikings on that play.
You know, you mentioned something, Jim. There's a lot of nostalgia here today. The fans now hoping their Vikings can come up with a victory, and we'll come back and talk about nostalgia and the final 4.5 minutes of Met history right after this. Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington. You don't associate a graphic statistic like that with Minnesota.
No, you don't. Not this time of the season.
At the 29, first down Minnesota. The Vikings trail by 4.
And their fans are trying to cheer them on to victory.
Kramer completes this one at the 38-yard line to Tony Galbraith, the fullback, and Herb Christopher makes the tackle. A gain of 9. It'll be second down and 1. We're talking about nostalgia here, and you alluded to the fact earlier today that there are only 2 men on the field today who played in the Super Bowl between these teams.
In Super Bowl IV, that's Jack Rudney and Ron Yeri, and I saw them just before the game shake each other's hands. You know, in the NFL, there's a great deal of respect for one another, I'll tell you.
Second down, 1. Vikings go for the first down and get it with Ricky Young. Art Still, 67, the defensive end, the great All-American out of Kentucky. He missed 5 games this year with an injured knee, stopping Ricky Young as the clock ticks away. We're under 4 minutes now.
Merle, I've just been handed what I think is a very interesting statistics on the Vikings. Since the second half of the Green Bay game, they've only scored 3 TDs. That means 3 TDs in 13 quarters.
And Kramer had led one of the most explosive offenses prior to that, mainly in the air, and he zips one to Galbraith, and he completes it to the 46-yard line. He had to short arm that pass and almost sidearm it
almost
at the same
an
time.
Underhanded shovel, you bet.
Gary Spaney making the tackle, but at least he got it out of there.
Well, the chief defensive line, we've been talking about them all day. They're not going to give up. They're not going to give Tommy Kramer anything.
3 minutes left to play in the game. Second down, 6 coming up. Who's he going to go to?
Well, my guess would be Rashad or Sensor.
Rashad, 2 catches, 37 yards. Sensor in motion to the left. Kramer to Sensor. There he is. And Sensor down to the 41. And he is brought down by Herb Christopher. First down, Minnesota. And Sensor has gone over the 1,000-yard mark in pass receptions this year. A sensational year for Pro Bowler Joe Sensor.
And that's quite a mark for a tight end. There we see the graphic. 5th Viking ever to gain 1,000 yards receiving in a season. A tribute not only to him, but to Tommy Kramer and the offensive staff of the Vikings. But for a tight end, that's quite an accomplishment.
Sammy White has gone over the 1,000-yard mark today. First down, Minnesota. 2 minutes, 8 seconds to go. Kramer on the run. Galbraith down inside the 30 to the 27-yard line as we've hit the 2-minute mark. Galbraith the first down as Green and Barbaro made the stop. And with 1:58 left to play, Kansas City 10, the Vikings 6. Here, and we'll be back after this. Can Bud Grant and his Minnesota Vikings win the 100th game in Viking history here at the Met? The last game to be played here. We have 1:58 left to go, and at the 4-minute mark, the fans decided to get behind the Vikings.
And you can't tell me that Tommy Kramer and the offensive team out there don't feel this. Momentum has changed. The fans are pushing for a victory. 2 more minutes in this stadium.
Kramer, 15 for 35, 140 yards. First down to the Kansas City 28. Sammy White in motion. Galbraith at the 5, first and goal. Eric Harris, the right quarterback of the tackle.
What an outstanding call by Tommy Kramer. Everybody went with Rashad, which left Galbraith wide.